That was a green room. That was our backstage talk.
Okay.
Detroit Business Hub Group Director Nancy O'Neill works with her team of experts. Listen to conversations with business professionals to discover the latest business innovations, insights, and trends. Find out what's hot and what's not in today's business market.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to DBHG. We are so ecstatic that you are a guest here with us today. And I have my special guest and friend of DBHG, Ron Colbert. Ron Colbert is an AT&T Business Consultant. And he is going to tell us more about himself. I know he and his wife, they're one of the cutest couples I have ever known. So I'm so glad that Ron was able to join us on today's show. Ron, go ahead and introduce yourself even further.
Well, Nancy, first of all, thanks for having me on your show. I really appreciate it, giving me some exposure here. Definitely can always use exposure. Exactly. But my name again is Ron Colbert, and I've been in business now for over 20 years. Actually, I started back in 2000 with a company called Telegration. Telegration is like an independent agency where they work as a distributor for AT&T, Comcast, and we just sold their services. So that's kind of where I got my feet wet a little bit with them for about 3 years. Then I moved on to AT&T. So there's a little bit of correction there. I'm an AT&T consultant, but actually what I really am is I'm a broker agent. So what that means is that I represent all of the major providers throughout the U.S. So not only AT&T, I represent Comcast, all the major providers that you probably heard of on the West Coast, East Coast.
Right.
You Comcast, like I said, you probably heard of WOW here in Michigan. You probably heard of Spectrum. Spectrum is in a few other states. So Time Warner. So I work with all those providers, and I'm able to give my clients a wide range of options. So, and then but that's what I do in reference to what I'm doing now. However, my career did start, like I said, with Telegration, and then I segued into AT&T as a direct account executive with AT&T. And then I was there for a few years, about 4 years. And then I went from there to Comcast as a business account executive and worked with them for about 12 years. And then I started my own agency, telecommunications broker agency, about 2 years ago.
Congratulations. I didn't know you had gone independent. You should have told me.
Yeah.
I'll put it in your bio.
Okay. And so no problem. We can always.
I'll update it.
Yeah. And so my company's name is LBC Consultant and Broker.
All right. So I'll put that in the comment section, LBC.
Well, yeah, just keep it real short, so I don't want to make it so long, but LBC Telecom Group, just LBC Telecom Group is fine.
Okay, what does the LBC stand for?
Okay, actually, my daughter's initials, Letice,
That is so
Letice, Brittany, and Chanel.
I love that. Like I said, you have one of the cutest families. I love your family. I don't know your daughters too well, but I know you and I met you through Soteria, so I know Soteria the best. I mean, she's my go-to person whenever I have to get in contact with you. I always go to Soteria. I don't know what I did with this information.
Yeah, that's no problem. Sure.
Well, yeah, congratulations on starting your own business.
Yes.
There's nothing like being an independent entrepreneur. So it sounds like you're following your dreams, and it sounds like you have quite a bit of experience as well.
Yes.
And you've offered business solutions for me. You did when I was an insurance agent and did a great job on our telecommunications. So I'm just paying it forward and hoping to see if I can help some of your potential customers, or at least get you in front of that audience. So with that being said, I'm going to have to retweak some of the questions because they don't necessarily apply.
Well, I mean, you can actually some of those questions still apply, even though you just kind of, I do represent AT&T, like I said, as an agent, as a broker. Yeah. But so it's just kind of, like I said, so we represented many companies throughout the country. So that's fine. You still, when you say AT&T, you're still saying Comcast, or you can just put in, as a broker.
I'll just say LBC Telecom.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's good. Okay.
Yeah, so yep, I can totally do that. All right. So what solutions are you currently offering business customers? Or do you do personal lines as well? Or is it just still business?
Yeah, well, first of all, I always start out with this with a mindset. I believe that every business should embrace digital transformation. And what do I mean by that? Every business should grow mature digitally.
Okay.
So what I mean, and with that being said, so for an example, a lot of businesses are still have analog systems in terms of the way they do business. So, like for an example, say their phone equipment, it's not an IP phone, an internet-based phone. Uh, with those internet phones, you have more options and more flexibility. Those phones can give you the ability to not be locked just to your desk or to your office, but
Mhm.
gives you the ability because we're all mobile, working from home because of the pandemic and different things. So this is a new environment for us. So these IP phones are godsend in terms of
Mhm.
for businesses. So, but a lot of businesses out there still have analog systems that do not have the flexibility. So when I say digital transformation, changing your business from an analog business to a digital business. So that like I use phone service for an example, but also what about your data? Protecting your data. You hear about cybersecurity. You hear about uh, ransomware, things of that nature. So there's a lot of things that businesses need to understand about transforming their business digitally to be able to support and protect their business as well as to grow their business.
I see.
Mhm.
So I get this question, like I
Mhm.
have this question for myself too. Do you think business owners should have business cell phones? Like say they work from home or that we're pretty much a home-based business as well. Should I have a business cell phone or do you think it's okay for business owners to use both for both personal and business?
Well, that's the nice thing about the IP. And IP for those who may not know is internet protocol, or let's just say simply internet-based type phones. In other words, those phones need the internet to operate. In other words, you just can't plug it into the wall and get a dial tone, and
Right.
you have to have an internet connection. Just for those folks who may not know that, I just don't want to assume everyone.
No, no, no. That's good. I appreciate you doing that.
Right.
That's the
So,
future
so
in you coming out.
yeah. So, so to answer your question about the cell phone, so just with that being said, so with an IP phone system, yeah, to answer your question directly, sure you should have a cell phone, but your cell phone can operate just the way your business phone in your office operates. So what I mean by that, see your IP phones, they have what they call apps that comes for your cell phone. So that app will you be able to download to your cell phone, and that
Okay.
cell phone will work just like your office phone would work. And the beautiful thing about that is, it's say you're on the road, out of town, or whatever, and a client calls you, a customer calls you, that ring your cell phone number, but to the client, to the client, they would only see your business number. So you're able to use and see a personal call coming in versus a business call coming in. You can take that call, you can have it go to your voicemail, just like if you were in the office. So in other words, even though you're working in the office, your cell phone can operate just as if you're sitting there at your desk. And again, like I said, if you decided to take the call, if you're out on the road or whatever, that business customer or whoever's calling you will just only see your main business number and not your personal cell number. So a lot of folks like that. So that's one of the things that in terms of a business owner having their cell phone. I mean, we all our cell phones are it's like our third hand, so to speak. So I mean, we have to have it on our hip all the time. So yes, the IP phones definitely enhance the use of your cell phone. So yeah, to answer your question, I would say absolutely cell phones is a must.
Okay. Okay. And then what are some of the advantages that business owners have with going with you as a broker versus just going to an AT&T or Comcast
Yeah,
representative?
that's a great question because I get that all the time. Because if like I said, I worked at AT&T for about 3 years, 4 years, and then I worked at Comcast over 12 years. And the thing is that whenever I positioned a product or services, it always had to be Comcast. In other words, I was married to Comcast, married to AT&T, and I couldn't give my clients any other options. So
Right.
sometimes I might be trying to put a round ball into a square peg, so to speak, to a square hole. So the thing is that with me as a broker, I'm able to source all the major providers. So a lot of times I tell clients, hey, what have you heard out there? Oh, you've heard about Ring Central, you've heard about, and they say, well, I heard about Ring Central. What about that? Or I heard about Vonage. Okay. I said, well, let me source that. Let me get some quotes for you for that. And let me do all the work. So because a lot of business owners, they just don't have time. They're very busy on the phone trying to get this quote, that quote, trying to get everything. So that's what I do. So the advantage of using me is that I am going to source all those companies for you. You don't have to pay me a fee because those companies, whoever you decide to go with or the client decides to go with, that company will give me a small residual from that particular order. So I'm at your disposal in terms of being able to work with the clients and help them find out what's the best solution for them. And it's always nice to have 3 or 4 quotes and options to look at, and then of course the client will make the best decision for their business, how it fits them and their needs.
Okay, wonderful.
Mhm.
Do you currently offer any bundles or package offers?
Yeah, sure. So if most people, as you know, you see all the marketing things on your phones and Instagram and Facebook from all these companies. So just think of it this way. When you see an ad from Comcast or AT&T or Vonage or Ring Central, whatever, and they offer bundles and internet and phone or whatever it may be, you can reach out to me and says, hey, Ron, you know what? Comcast has a bundle. AT&T has a bundle. All these companies, Nancy, they all offer some sort of promotion or bundles. We have access to that because I have agreements with these major companies as an agent. So I'm able to take advantage of whatever promotions and bundles that they offer and be able to provide that with the client. And one other thing too about that is this, that makes me a little bit different, to kind of go back to the question prior to this one, makes me a little different is that a lot of times when you have someone who works directly for a company like AT&T, Comcast, or whoever, or even directly for Vonage or directly for Ring Central or any of these companies as a direct employee, they're under a quota. They're really tasked to make deadlines. And so it's hard for them to really kind of hold hands and work with the client after the sale. Of course,
Right.
they're going to tell you to call the 800 number, call customer care.
Right.
I mean, and I do that too. But the thing is, the difference with me is that I always tell my clients to call me first. I'm
Yeah.
going to work with that client because it's to my advantage and it's to the customer's advantage for me to be engaged with them throughout the entire process of their business life. Because again, for me being able to help them with their business as their business grows, they're going to have different needs. And so I'm able to source that. So I'm able to grow with them. So I'm not trying to move on to the next customer. I'm trying to keep
Right.
that customer, as opposed to those other agents to direct employees. They're trying to find the next customer. Of course, I'm looking for customers as well, but I want to maintain the customer base that I have. And the way you do that is through very strong customer service and follow-up. So call me first, and then if we need to engage with customer service, I'll be on the phone with you to engage, so you don't go through all the crazy stuff that you hear out there when people call 800 numbers and they get very frustrated. So that's one of the advantages.
Yeah, and I can personally attest that I did call you after we got our service installed, and you actually answered the phone. I was like, "Oh, you're still here! Wow, I'm impressed."
Okay.
Yeah, so I do really appreciate that about you because, like you said, I came from selling insurance, so
Yes.
I know all about the quota.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're only in sales, and I always say you're only as good as your last month.
Exactly.
What we were doing, or in real estate, they're like you're only as good as your last sale. So you're just constantly on this I want to say rat Ferris wheel, trying to compete with against yourself or against the next person or against the quota or whatever. And it can really lead people to a pretty stressed out life.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that reflects on it, and then and you being a stressed out person, that kind of filters over into your clientele base in terms of how you're dealing with customers,
Yeah.
how you're responding, and your time for them, and things of that nature. So It's not personal. It's just that you're just under the gun so much.
Exactly.
It's just that sometimes you just can't support your customers like you would want to. So this is a good thing for me now, being an independent agent, run my own business. I can
Yeah.
support people, and so it's a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, you do make a certain amount of money, like having to fulfill a quota, but it's like at what expense, you know? And what's really sad is the two. Well, I didn't have a quota as a real estate agent, but with insurance, the company that I was with, you never got away from the quota. I don't know if this is still the State Farm policy, but I heard with State Farm, like after you've been vetted for 2 years, the quota like dissolves. I'm like, which is great because you've already vetted yourself. You've already shown like, hey, I can sell, I can still be competitive in the marketplace. But you have other companies that the quota never disappears. It's like they've been selling insurance for 20 years and they still have this monthly quota or quarterly quota. And it's really sad because all of us have a bad month sometimes. Everybody in sales, the best salespeople have a bad week or a bad month. So you kind of are looking like, how are you going to make up, for this shortfall? So you're constantly going through that grind, like every month or every quarter, that vicious cycle. And that's one of the things that I talk about in my book, Fire Your Job, Be Your Own Boss. That you got to keep that pipeline full so you never have to worry about, running into that situation where you can't meet your quota.
Yeah. Always prospect. Yeah.
Yeah, you always got to be prospecting. What do they call it? ABP. Oh, always be prospecting. Always be selling. ABS. Always be selling.
And then it's ABC too. Always be closing too, right?
Yeah, ABC is definitely important. Yeah, so it is hard to sell, to close, and to offer quality customer service to your clients.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
that's the big balancing act. And so, customer service is really key for me, especially being an independent business owner, because I want the referrals. So,
absolutely.
So one of the verticals that I'm working in is the medical marijuana business, and a lot of those individuals, and I'm supporting them from a technology standpoint. But a lot of those business owners, they're getting into that space. And what's happening is they've been entrepreneurs in other businesses, but not at that large scale. So, for example, they may have a little small grocery store or a cell phone shop or a liquor store or something like that. And then what happens is that they didn't need much bandwidth when it came to Comcast for that environment they were in when they were running their party store or their or a grocery store or something like that. But now when they get into this industry, the medical marijuana, they have to have like 50 cameras, 50, 60, 70 cameras just for security and monitoring employees. And then they have to have for their growth facilities, the internet cannot ever go down because then their machines go down. And then so their product. So what happens is they have to have high bandwidth. They have to have and so it kind of gets up there. So it's a big jump from where they were at in one space.
Exactly. The analog phone, you're saying.
Right. And so what happens is in their internet speed, so they have to go to fiber as opposed to just plain old cable modem. And now they got to go to maybe a fiber optic type of connection, which is more expensive. So just helping them understand that and just kind of going through that process with them and sticking with them and giving them that customer service, because it's a process to help them understand why you have to do that. And of course, most business owners understand that you need to spend money to make money, and in their business, it requires that their internet stays on 99.9% of the time. They can't have any outages, and if they have an outage, they have to have a backup plan. So that's what we address: their backup plan, their current go-to plan. So so as a agent, sticking with those clients and working through all those different processes after the sale is very key.
Yeah. What do you do with the VoIP? Like, say you have a VoIP customer, and use me as an example where I think you installed like 2 lines of the internet. It was 2 or 3. I don't remember. It's been a minute since I've gone. I think I've been gone now for 4 years, 3 years, 4 years. You installed the lines with the internet. what do I do if my internet goes down? Because I know I didn't have the fiber optic. I just had the regular VoIP phones and internet. So you basically, if you can't use the phone and the internet, you really don't have a business. So I think if it did go down in the building or something, it might have only been like an outage for, 5 or 10 minutes. It was nothing that was long term,
That
like
was
a whole day or anything.
That's a good point that you made, and I want to address
Yeah.
those 2 points because it's key what you just said about 5 or 10 minutes or 15, 20 minutes or whatever. So if you look at some businesses are internet mission critical. You have
Right.
a lot of web-based businesses, like
Mhm.
e-commerce businesses, and so if their internet is down, they may, in just for an hour or 30 minutes,
Mhm.
may have lost a big, huge sale.
Oh, for
So,
sure. Yeah,
right.
you talking
So,
about some teed off customers.
right. So e-commerce business is mission critical, right?
Yeah.
So they have to have a failover. To your point, they have to have a failover internet. So they need to go with two ISPs. ISP stands for Internet Service Provider. So
Mhm.
Comcast or WOW, Comcast Charter, Comcast AT&T, or whoever. But they need to have two separate internet connections. So if one fails, goes down to your point, then the other one is, because it's very rare that both internet companies are going to be down at the same time.
Yeah.
Unless, I think it was 6, 10 years ago, we had that big East Coast outage when everything was down. You remember that? I don't,
I know like 10 plus years ago, I remember the power being out on the
the
east side of Detroit for 2 or 3 days, like the Detroit blackout.
right,
That's the
exactly.
last, that might have been more than 10 years. That's the last one I remember.
Yeah. Now, see, that's 10 years ago. So if something rarely like that.
Yeah.
And even if you had two internet connections, you'd still be down. But
Yeah, there's no power, right?
yeah, but something like that ever really happens. So typically,
Yeah.
your average Comcast usually has an issue going on that day. But if you got AT&T as your backup, or if you got another provider for your backup, those are for those businesses that are internet mission critical. So
Yeah.
sometimes, like for an example, even the pizza shop, they may on a Friday, Friday evenings is a pizza shop's very busy time. And if Comcast goes down for an hour and all their POS machines, point of sale machines, cash register
Yeah.
on the internet, and it
Yeah,
goes,
it's not good.
so they lose.
Everybody go home, we're done for the night.
Exactly. So I'll talk to those business owners about having a second IP circuit in there just in case of outage. And you can get a very inexpensive second circuit, so it's not very expensive. But the other thing, Nancy, too, for that, the other option is this when I talked about IP phones.
Mhm.
I mentioned earlier in our conversation, I mentioned the app. With an IP phone, what happens when you download that app to your phone, if the internet Comcast goes down, because a lot of people probably say, well, Ron, okay, you're talking about these IP phones going digital and all that. What happens if my internet goes down? My phone is dead. So again, like I said, you have a second circuit, and then your phones can switch over to the second circuit. And my point here is that with the app, that you have downloaded to your phone, now you can take that app and you can go to your app and have all your calls routed to your cell phone. So for those business owners out there, you got whoever Comcast goes down or whoever goes down, now you have that app and all your calls can come into your cell phone. Now, I mean, you may not want to obviously do that all day, but you won't miss a call is my point. And that's the key thing. So as a business owner, especially as SMB owners, small business, medium-sized business owners, they don't want to miss a call and, or a transaction or whatever it may be. So they can do that through their app. Or like I said, you can have a second circuit in your, if you're a pizza shop or if you're a e-commerce type business. So you're pretty much going to always be up and never worry about outage. Because and this for your folks out there, just to remember, it's not if you go down, it's
It's
going to
when you go down.
is when you go down because it's not going to be an if. It happens. Technology, it just happens. So you just have to have a plan B for outage.
Yeah.
And so that's what
it's always at the most inopportune time.
Yeah. As a consultant, so that's my job as a consultant, to discuss all those variables. Hey, okay, we got this internet set up for you. How's your business going to be affected if you go down for an hour?
Mhm.
Is it okay? Some people say, yeah, I'll be all right. So it's no biggie if they can be down, because typically Comcast can get you back up in probably about an hour or so. But
Yeah, I with DBHG, I didn't go home and I didn't go down and home or anything, but our internet provider, not internet provider, not AT&T. I'm with AT&T now. Our website server went down. And so I'm calling the website company because I had just put an ad in Crane's Detroit Business and we were selling tickets for the Shan Still event. And literally the ad went up in the morning. They went down at like 4:00. I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is hitting our bottom line. Like, we're trying to sell tickets and people are seeing us on Crane's Detroit Business and they type in dbhg.org and there's nothing there. I'm like, you guys are making us look bad. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with us.
Mm.
So I'm just like, how can your server go down? So I am just like flipping out. And it was down the rest of the night. I barely got any sleep that night. Got up the next morning, went back to the website again. It was still down. It was down for about a good 24 hours. And I'm thinking we're going to lose all these sales because really, unless people paid at the door, that's the only way they could pay is through PayPal. So people didn't have any other way to pay. And I'm like, we were, probably about 5 or 6 tickets away from selling out anyway. So needless to say, I went to work that morning because I still work full time. Got home that evening around 3-4 o'clock. The internet there. I cannot tell you. I'm like agonizing this. I'm going, yeah, the website was still down a day later. So this is unbelievable. Like, how many times does this happen? They're like, we are so sorry. This has never, ever happened to us before. And I'm like, yeah, get that server going because, I mean, I wasn't saying that I was like ready to walk, but I was like, can I like get a different web host? Because I never this doesn't happen to GoDaddy. So I'm trying to find out what is going on here. That you want to like support local businesses and stuff, but you feel like this is really inconvenient.
I'm surprised about that because typically when their servers go down, they have backup servers in other locations. Yeah. And so they just switch your credentials over to that other server and then you back up. So I'm kind of surprised that kind of happened because typically that's where they call them co-locations, things of that nature. So if a server goes down over here, you can switch to another data center. And and so because like I said, so sometimes it happens every once in a while. It's very rare that a data center would have an issue, but it's technology, so it can happen. But what they do is they have multiple data centers, so all the data centers have issues at the same time.
I mean, a perfect storm.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I hope it never. But like you said, it's like our business is cyclical, based on events or whatever we have going on at the time. So, just a normal day, we only have 5 events a year. If there wasn't an event and went down, I might not have even noticed. It might have been a day I didn't even go online. Yeah. So it kind of depends on what your business has going on at the time.
Exactly. So for a business model, what you probably want to do, and we can probably discuss this when it comes up, when you have an event, you might want to think about, well, let me just get a temporary secondary internet.
Yeah, or a landing page.
Yeah, just
have one landing page for the event where like it's going to work when they go.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. Well, what services, now we got off on that tangent for a little while. What other services can you offer business owners other than just the VoIP and the IP phones?
Yeah, so when it comes to, I always tell clients that, because you hear so many different things. So for an example, when you hear something regarding technology, you want to just give me a call because, like I said, most of these companies I have these relationships with, so I'm able to, answer your questions. But to your point, for an example, let's say cybersecurity solutions. So I offer cybersecurity solutions, right? So just protecting your data, and you're hearing about all this stuff, companies being breached and companies, simple things like employees innocently going in and, maybe they tap on an email or they click on something that seems like it's normal. It could be a fake email, and companies are trying to get into, hackers are trying to get into a company's network. So they would just send the employees something that looks similar to what they do every day, and they respond to the email, and now that hacker's in. So different things like that. So cybersecurity solutions, to answer your point,
Okay.
question is that cyber solution is huge right now, and
Yeah.
I work with quite a few companies on that. And then we offer, again, we also offer, like we just talked about, the redundancy portion of IP internet. So there's a lot of redundancy solutions for to make sure that your network pretty much stays up all the time.
Yeah.
So I offer solutions for that as well. Also, I offer energy solutions. And so energy solutions. So if, as a consultant, when I go in, I'm looking at their whole business model and of course their total spend. Of course, we're looking at technology. As you already know, energy is part of technology in terms of, solar, not solar energy, things of that
Hmm.
nature, their heating things. So I do work with companies that once we talk about, hey, you know, you have to invest this money for your internet network and your phone equipment and all this. Let's look at what you're doing in the energy department. Maybe
Yeah.
we
You mean like
can,
alternative energy?
yeah, so exactly. Thank you. And so maybe we can help you in that area. Maybe we can look at some things there. So that's some of the services that we offer, exactly, alternative energy. And so yeah, between cybersecurity, alternative energy, and of course your IP and digital transformation solutions is what I offer.
Yeah. So like websites, phones, people
Mhm.
want cable for, they have a TV running in their office, things like that. You
Mhm.
offer the whole
Yeah,
bundle.
right. So websites, no, I don't personally do websites, but
Or internet service,
yeah,
internet.
for the internet
Yeah.
services, right? Mhm. And strictly for businesses. So, but if customers have need something for residential, I do have some resources that I can refer them to help them out with residential services. But with this COVID thing and the pandemic, a lot of people were pretty much working from home. So I do set up a lot of home offices as well from a business perspective.
Yeah, how has business been with post COVID? Because I can imagine, or pre, during, and post. I
Mhm.
can imagine. I would think you'd be going out like gangbusters with a lot of people moving back. Going back to their home and setting up home offices, like you said,
Yeah.
versus being at an office or a cubicle every day.
Yeah, so exactly. So, of course, when the pandemic first hit, a lot of the folks talking about those phone systems, they had to get phones that, see, with an IP phone, if you have it in your office, you can unplug the Ethernet cord. And once
Right.
you have an Ethernet connection at home or plug it into your computer and then to the back of the phone,
Hmm.
you can take that office phone home with you. Of course, an analog phone, you couldn't do that.
Right.
So,
That's true.
so for business wise, like you said, it was good. So a lot of clients was inquiring about the IP phones because a lot of the equipment could not be moved from the office to their home. But now that things are coming back to normal, then you still have that where folks are saying, hey, you know what? We've kind of went through this pandemic thing and we realized that our phone system is not where it needs to be. So we have people coming back to the office and we want to look at, changing out the phone system. So it's been steady. So it didn't slow down for me during the pandemic, so that was a blessing.
Yeah, that is a blessing.
Mhm.
All right, Ron will tell your lovely wife, Sateria. I said
Okay.
hello.
Okay.
Congratulations on your business. And
Sure. We'll do.
we'll talk one off with the resources we talked about before in the green room, before
Okay.
we started the podcast.
Okay. Then.
How can people, interested business owners, get a hold of you? I put in LBC Telecom group in the comment section, but
Yes.
do you have an email, website, or phone number that you want to leave?
Yeah, so my email is R, Mich- uh, Colter, Coulter,
Okay.
at partners, PARTNERS with an S, dot AppSmart, AppSmart.com. And of course, you have my email, Nancy. So the email that you corresponded with me
Yep. They
says,
can contact me then, and I'll
yeah,
provide
right.
the
And then,
email.
of course, my number is 248-796-2949.
796. Okay.
Two
Two
four
eight
eight
nine
seven. One.
248 796 2949.
Yes. And then
Okay.
the website is appsmart.com, appsmart.com.
Okay. So our culture at partners with an S dot appsmart.com.
Yes,
Phone number 248-796-2949. And then your website is appsmart.com. Is that correct?
correct.
Okay, I will go ahead and put this in the comment section so everyone can get a hold of you. Thank you so much, Ron, for being a guest on our podcast tonight. Any words of motivation or anything you want to leave us with?
First of all, just thanks again for having me on, and
Yeah,
just encourage everyone to continue to set your goals and to continue to work hard. Put God first, and all will be well.
exactly. Yeah, definitely tell Mr. Cartwright that I'd like that you were on our podcast tonight, and I'd like to connect with him as well and connect him to DBHG. So hopefully
Okay.
we'll hear from him soon. All right,
Okay.
guys. Well, hopefully I owe Sateria lunch, and hopefully I'll see her soon as that. Hopefully I will see you all around church.
Okay. Bye bye.
Good evening, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, thanks, Ron. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody. Have a good evening. See you next Tuesday. Happy 4th of July weekend. Happy Independence Day, Juneteenth Day weekend, all that good stuff. Bye-bye.